What do you think it takes to achieve your greatest dreams? What are you passionate about? What's your why? What's your purpose in this life? What's your calling? It's essential to find what brings you joy in this life. So my story begins in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Both my mother and father are immigrants from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago. And I am first generation. My sister and myself are first generation Canadians. So it was very important for me to be successful. And it was important for me and my older sister to make something of ourselves because my mother gave up her dreams so that I could live out my own. Growing up in a Caribbean household, people know it's not a joke. It's like a very strict household, clean on the weekends. You don't leave stuff out. You're always making your bed. It was a very strict household, but it gave me the skill set that I needed to become successful. And growing up, it was fun. It was great. Like I said, we didn't have all the money in the world, but I said we always had clothes, we always had food, and we always had shelter. It was a very loving household, but a very stern and strict household, but I wouldn't have changed my upbringing for anything. Throughout my childhood, I was very athletic, played a lot of sports. In high school, here at Saint-Jean-de-Brebeuf, I was playing track and basketball, and later in life, I got into playing football in grade 12. And that's when things really started to take off for me because I didn't realize, but football is a major sport and, it's renowned around the country. So after my first season playing wide receiver, a lot of schools and, coaches were reaching out to me, offering me scholarships, things like that. Didn't even know much about football. So I said, let me just go back to high school for one more year. Went back for grade 13, played another season and got an offer from a school called Queens, which I had no idea about Queens. Like I said, never heard of Queens in my life, to be honest. When you're from Hamilton, we really just know McMaster. Even my high school that I went to, Saint-Jean-de-Brebeuf, we wore maroon. So it was an easy transition if I picked McMaster. But again, you gotta make yourself uncomfortable sometimes. So I took a risk, left Hamilton and moved 3 hours away to Kingston, Ontario to attend Queens. When I visited that school, truly fell in love with it. It resembles an old Scotland town and the vibe was just unreal. There's a lot of limestone. You can go down to the water and you can actually swim in it, so it was a really great community. Really enjoyed it. It's beautiful. There's 1,000 islands there. Really excited that I took that leap of faith and chose Queens. During my times at Queens, it was epic. I loved Queens. I was there did a 5-year undergrad. That's to show you how much I loved it. I was very involved in the community. I even volunteered, did a lot of charity work, even did some high school coaching as well. But most importantly, I really tapped into my entrepreneurial spirit because a friend of mine started a company where we were booking the biggest DJs in the world, EDM, which is electronic dance music, DJs like Steve Aoki, Alesso, Deadmau5, and even the infamous Avicii, rest in peace. And what happened, he offered me a job, I took it, and I ran up my own sales team who were selling tickets. They were killing it. I loved it, passionate about it, and I really found out that, I love this, being my own boss. I love running a team. And that's when I really knew that, okay, I think entrepreneur is for me. So after graduating from Queens, it's a tough time, right? Because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I stayed in my geography field, start a business. I was really confused of what to do. I ended up staying in my field, got a job with the federal government, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. I was making money, had a full-time job. I felt like I was living the dream. I really did. When it came time for my promotion, I humbly declined just because it wasn't right for me at the time. But there's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5. A 9-to-5 can really help you spur your dreams, right? It can fund your dreams. So you gotta be okay with a 9-to-5 in the beginning. So for me, it was great. Got great experience working for the government, made some decent money, purchased my first vehicle, Chevrolet Cavalier that I named Porsche at the time. And it was fantastic. But like I said, I ended up leaving that job. Again, very risky. Most people don't leave government jobs, but again, I knew that I wanted a little bit more for my life, wanted a bigger purpose, and humbly declined that offer and left on obviously, great terms. But I wanted to go chase my dreams and my ambitions. But again, like, I want to let you know that there's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5. Society tells you otherwise, but I'm here to tell you that it's completely okay. And if you need to do that, do it, but never lose sight of your goals and your dreams. So now things started to take off, and I started my business empire. Didn't have really much money, not funding and no funding, anything like that. But then what happened was I won the power of the pitch competition. So a lot of small business owners, we had to pitch a committee and tell them why they should give us this money. And I ended up winning a $5,000 grant. And grants are great because they're free. You don't have to pay the money back. And that's why grants are fantastic. So I would always suggest to go seek out grants because you don't have to pay them back. A loan, it's like anyone will give you a loan because you got to pay it back, right? So if you could find a grant, that's what you want to look for. So I won that competition. It was televised on CH, and a lot of people started to find out about what I was doing. I was very excited. But again, it's very tough to get funding when you're a commission-based business, right? So at that time, I was managing artists, I was managing rappers, I was managing actors and directors, and I even produced a short film titled Vivid, who was also selected to be in the Hamilton Film Festival when I put that out. But then I realized also that, like, remember, my passion's football, my passion's sports. So I said, man, I want to be an agent. I remember on the weekend I had to watch Jerry Maguire, fantastic movie. Everybody knows the movie. Show me the money, right? Everyone knows that scene. So I told myself, I can do that. I know I could do that. So I started Googling, trying to find out how to become a CFL agent. Found out, I put my application in, they hit me back. It's a thorough screening process, and then they give you the exam materials, and you pass the exam, and you are licensed. You need a 70% or above to pass the exam, and I did that. And I realized that also there's a gap because a lot of my friends that are playing football at Queens, fantastic athletes, didn't know what to do with themselves after playing at Queens. So they wanted to get to the next level, but no one knew how to get there. So I knew there's a gap there's a gap. Someone's got to be that guy, right? So I'm like, man, this is the perfect opportunity for me. I knew I wasn't going pro, so I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I love dealing with people. I love football. Let me be that guy. So after that, my first CFL draft came. So anxious. I was only representing about, I think 3 to 5 players at the time, and sitting there watching that draft, it was one of the most anxious things for me. Round by round, people's names being called, and I'm not hearing any of my guys, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? But lo and behold, final round, my guy gets his name called, and I couldn't be more ecstatic because that was confirmation for me that I was on the right path, that I was, doing the right thing, that my scouting ability was there. And sometimes we need that, especially as human beings and entrepreneurs. You need sometimes that moment that says, yep, yeah, you got it, bro. Like, you're good. But I do remember that I was getting emails from some of the bigger agents in the country sending me hate mail, basically, right? So I was laughing because, you know what? I was like, damn, like, these guys are so busy, but they're taking time out of their hectic schedules to kind of chirp me. And I said, damn, I must be doing something right. So I knew that I was on that right path, and I just kept grinding. I had to really kick the door down and make my own spot at the table, right? So, and that's what I did. Also in that year, the biggest blessing in my life happened. It's I got a beautiful girl pregnant, and my first child was due at the end of the year. I was single, wilding out, living the dream. I was making good money. I was loving life, and like I said, when I got the news that my daughter was gonna be born, it really straightened me out. I really started to focus. And at that time I had to didn't want to give up on my dreams, but I wanted to make sure that I was able to give my daughter the best life possible. And how could I do that? Well, getting consistent income. So I went out and obtained my first salary position with a big food and beverage company. And it was life-changing for me because it was consistent income. But at the same time, I never lost sight of my dreams and ambitions. I knew that I wanted to, build a sports agency. I knew that I wanted to continue doing artist management. I wanted to book the shows. I wanted to continue to travel with my clients. And, I was able to do that still, even with having a child. That doesn't mean your life stops because you have a child. It really inspired me to actually hit the ground running even harder. I started at the bottom, and every 6 months I was getting promoted, working my way up. Until, it's a funny story because I ended up getting chosen to be on the cover of the magazine. And that's when really things started to really take off. Because for most people, they need to see something like that to take you seriously. Although I was grinding since 2015, it was a great opportunity for me. I couldn't believe that I even got selected. And when I did, I graced that cover. It was, like I said, nothing was the same after that. So many different opportunities started to come. I had to turn some down because opportunities, they come and they go, right, in life. So you just got to make sure that you grab onto the ones that work for you, and the ones that don't, you let it slide by. But the Hamilton magazine, I'm forever indebted. It was a fantastic opportunity for me to get on that cover. And that cover showed up at my office. And the owner that ran that facility said, "Jayevan, what is this? How do you have time to..." And I told him, I looked him in the eye and I told him that, well, I work for you for 40 hours a week. There's so much more time in the day to do other things that I'm interested in. And that's when I also realized that it's okay to have more than one passion. It's okay to have more than one interest. Society will tell you otherwise, but I'm here to tell you that it's okay. You got to live outside the box. You got to be able to take risks, take a leap of faith, and more often than not, it's going to work out for you. That year, I had one of the biggest CFL drafts of my career. I had 4 players drafted, 2 of which are still playing in this league to this day. So it just shows you you just got to keep working hard, put your best foot forward, and the rest will take care of itself, right?
Picked off. Jordan Hoover's got it. His first interception of the year.
Then, I kind of came to a crossroads in my career, in my professional career, because I was spending so much energy, so much money on the entertainment industry. Like I said, I was traveling with artists. I was putting on shows, putting on different events, making movies. And sometimes when you're spread so thin, you're not able to really hone in on what you're best at, right? So for me, I had to, again, take a risk and give up all those other things. In the music industry, you always think that next song is gonna be the song. And every time I'm in the studio, I was like, we got one, another one. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that. And I really had to just sit back and say, man, am I just gonna keep waiting for this one song to hit? Or am I gonna maybe stop and focus on what I'm best at, which was being a football agent? So then at the time too, I decided to leave the food and beverage industry and go full-time hyper-focused on the sports agency. And like sometimes that's what it takes. It's okay to be dabbling in all these different things, but if it takes away from your one good thing, maybe you should give that up. And I had to make a list of pros and cons and make a tough decision that, you know what? Because I did feel like I was giving up on my people. But again, you got to always look after number one, yourself. It just didn't make sense for me anymore. Everyone understood. They respected me for it. And like I said, I humbly bowed out and started to focus on myself and my sports agency. And things really started to take off once I was putting in 100% energy into one specific field. When you're an entrepreneur, you're always grinding. You're always trying to find another revenue stream to put some more money into your pocket. So 2019, I'm cruising around. I drove Uber just to make a little extra money. And again, Uber, you never know who's gonna jump into your car. I lived in Hamilton, but I would only drive in Burlington and Oakville, Mississauga, because I wanted to meet those type of individuals. And I did. I met a really like-minded individual who offered me a really amazing opportunity to get my life insurance license. And to be honest, I knew nothing about life insurance at the time. I just knew that a lot of my friends had their license and they had to go to school for 2 years. And I said, I ain't got time for that. So how do we make this work? Well, there was a program at Durham College, went there for 1 week, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And after that 1 week, like I said, I started studying, passed all 5 exams, got the life insurance license. And again, that was a big move for me because again, like I had a business already, but I took a risk and opened up another one called Foster Insureds, my own life insurance brokerage. I didn't want to go work for anyone else. I wanted to be able to offer all those companies. So I ended up being a broker and opened my own brokerage. And you know what? I'm so happy that I did. Really, really happy that I did because in 2020, as everyone knows, what happened? COVID. Every single professional sports league played except one, the CFL. They didn't have a season. That year, I made $0 in revenue for, my CFL business because there was no season. At this point, I was basically a life coach. My players, helping them mentally, emotionally, physically, just making sure they're good, making sure that all my players are good. Funny enough, there was still a CFL draft that year. Had another successful draft, 3 more players drafted.
Yes! Cordell Hastings, let's go!
Going to BC, man.
Brad Cohen, let's go! Let's go!
That seems to be my magic number. I always get at least 3 guys drafted. But I just want to explain to you, that's why it's so important to have more than one revenue stream. So I'll use a metaphor as an example comparing to revenue streams. So if I have one table with one leg and I knock that out, then the revenue is gone, right? So that's the table with the one leg. So it's very important to have more than one revenue stream. So a table with 4 legs, if I knock out one leg, well, guess what? You're okay. The table's wobbling, but you still have 3 more revenue streams that are generating income for you. Even if I knock out a second leg, the table's still going to be standing. Yes, it's going to be crooked, but guess what? The 2 legs are still standing because you still got 2 revenue streams coming in. Even if I knock out the 3rd leg, the table is going to look really deformed. However, it's still going to be okay. So this is a lesson to everybody here that you need more than one revenue stream to be successful and to be comfortable. You want it coming in all different types of ways. Like I said, a lot of entrepreneurs say that you need 7 different revenue streams to become a millionaire because you need it coming in all different types of ways, all different types of times. So we'll end with this question. What do you think it takes to achieve your dreams? The answer is going to be different for every single person watching. But for me, it was risk, right? Passion, persistence, and just enjoying the journey, right? Enjoying the journey, enjoying the process. You got to trust the process. That's what we always say, trust the process. You have to be your biggest advocate. Advocate for yourself. How can you expect other people to believe in your business if you're not out there pushing your own business? It's about the passion, it's about the persistence, and it's about putting your brand out there and pushing and pushing and pushing. Follow your gut, follow your intuition. Trust yourself. You know what you want in this life, so go out and obtain it. This life ain't a dress rehearsal. You got one life to live, so go out there and live it. Some of the most successful people in the world, guess what? We have the exact same time. But guess what? Time waits for no man. So you gotta go at your dreams and your goals with a relentless passion to achieve what you want to achieve. It's 2023, exciting times. I think it's all the way up for all of us in 2023. Okay, I have some big, big things coming. But again, you're gonna have to stay tuned to find out. And I'll leave you with this. So it's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting. Paul Coelho.